relocate out of here? Poland, move over here. What are you? What are you?
Where's Ukraine?
Netherlands.
Where's Ukraine?
Just sit right here. Just sit down. Okay, are we talking still? What are you? It doesn't help with your hands over your mouth.
Russia.
Russia, move over here. And you're what? Italy, what are you?
When's Romania gonna die?
What are you, Romania?
Romania.
France?
I can't wait to die.
Yugoslavia? You're alive, but you escaped. You guys over there dead already?
Bummer.
Are you dead already? Move down there. Dead? Belgium? Just move up here and go move down there. Okay, we're going to start with 1938. Okay, March 12, 13, 1938, German troops, Nazi troops, they move into Austria. Austria has a population of 200,000 Jews. What had happened was there was some sort of unrest, whether it be, the president was sick, or maybe he was taken by the Germans and held back. Something caused it. Yes, ma'am?
The president of Austria was killed by a bunch of thugs on the street to prove a point. And then the person who came in and took over next was not a strong candidate. And so when he met with Hitler to try and make a peaceful agreement, he was convinced, politely convinced or impolitely convinced by the Nazi party there to allow a number of Nazis in Austria to take over that part of the government. And then they, in turn, handed the Austrian government to Hitler.
Now, what do you speak if you're in Austria? Dutch.
Austrian?
What did you say? What did you say just a second ago? Australian? No, not Australian.
Austrian.
And not Austrian either. They're German. They speak German. So Hitler, because of culturally there's a connection. At least you have the same language, pretty much the same religion. The geography looks the same, that sort of stuff. So Austria was kind of an easy. Samantha, am I competing against you?
What do you mean you're competing against me?
Are you talking?
No.
Okay. You're talking somewhere.
And you automatically assume it was me.
Let's see if I can hear it at you.
Oh.
You should get your ears checked out.
Telling my God, I do.
They're set just to me.
Must be a
I
high
thought you should
frequency.
too. That's why I got you like you on the other side of the room to help you look better. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I like this guy. Mister, where's the
Favorite student, y'all know that.
Hi.
That's what she's on the
What
other side of the room.
Yep.
Who's president? Sending a little email. Okay. So they're annexing this Anschluss, so this union. They're bringing in because it's very similar people. Shortly after that, their Jewish question has to be answered, and they build a concentration camp outside of Linz to deal with that, called Mauthausen. No longer can businesses, just change the name on the front to where it looks like it's not a Jewish name. It might have said Israel something before, and then you changed it to Bubba's.
Same.
It's still the same business, so that would be kind of outlawed, and having people run
Bubba's
your business
accountants.
for you would be illegal. At Evian, France, the U.S. convenes a League of Nations conference with delegates from 32 countries to consider helping Jews fleeing Hitler. No country will take action. Let's see. Jewish doctors prohibited from practicing medicine. On legal documents, Sarah is added to all women who are Jews, and Israel is added to their names if they are male. Remember, they're making them put, wear Jewish stars. They're putting J's on everything to signify that they're Jewish. And then on October 15th, 38, Nazi troops occupy the Sudetenland. Now, the Sudetenland is a mountainous region that borders Germany, but it's in Czechoslovakia. Okay, and some of those people, did speak German, that sort of thing, and it was one of those things that they moved into Czechoslovakia and they took that region, supposedly getting it under control, also. But the rest of Europe just allows him to do that. They move in. People in Europe, like the United Kingdom, with Neville Chamberlain, who was the prime minister, he ends up doing this time period called appeasement. Where you're allowing them to get away with something. Like when your mother, or a mother is in a grocery store and the child that's with her starts screaming and pitching a fit because they want a candy bar at the counter. Mother says no, 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 and then she's like, fine, take the candy bar.
Shut up.
But knowing that the next time when they go to the grocery store, it will all happen again. Well, it's the same thing with Hitler. They're allowing him to have Austria. They're allowing him to have the Sudetenland. Where's the line going to be drawn? Where are you finally going to say enough is enough? Then there was an event, November 9th and 10th, called Kristallnacht. Kristallnacht means Night of the Broken Glass. And this was protests against Jewish businesses. Lots of Jewish businesses were burned, graffiti, people hurt, killed. And then the German government comes out and says, oh, because you caused all of this, you're going to pay it back. So they fined them heavily. Jewish students are no longer allowed to attend public schools, so they're kicked out of public schools. And a guy by the name of Hermann Göring is now responsible for the Jewish question. What are they going to do? What's going to happen to them? Okay, we ended that year.
Sorry, Rolo died.
We don't need to hear from them.
Better roll them
Boom.
threes.
Every year.
Oh,
You
yeah.
make it if you roll
You didn't roll
three,
them threes.
or a four, or 5 or
We'll
6, you get
give
a
her your star and
After you roll 6, you get a
go back
roll
and
again.
flip over there.
So if you roll another 6, then you survive whoever.
Yep, I get the
You're
stars.
gone.
There's a spot.
I survived.
I ain't dead yet.
Yeah, I'm just gonna roll with some of the and then
Can we kill the next person already?
Boom.
Oh.
One, you
Good
get
job.
the
That's why you rolled them threes, huh?
Oh, wait.
Poland.
Oh, we haven't invaded Poland yet, have we?
Poland.
Ah.
They kill off the Poland.
1 year free pay.
Even though we're doing Poland, we need
Okay, but would y'all relocate down?
again. Crap.
Okay, 1939. January of 1939 was interesting because there is something that Hitler does. It's called the Reichstag speech.
It is.
And
It is a speech from the Reichstag.
the Reichstag. And the Reichstag, remember, is like Congress. Okay, when I see lots of people looking at computer screens, I'm assuming that you're not looking where you should be because you should be just listening. Okay, and when you're so intent with it, and you're moving your mouse around and all that, I'm assuming that you're probably not where you need to be. Okay. And you don't need earplugs either. Okay, so Reichstag speech. It's kind of like the president getting up in front of Congress and he's doing the State of the Union. Well, he's standing up there, and this is one of those that when you look at Hitler and any sort of profile, I promise you, you probably see his famous Reichstag speech. He stands up there, and supposedly this is a guy who is really articulate. Not speaking German, I don't fully know what he says. Okay, but he's standing up there, and he's got his mustache that was even odd back then to have a mustache like that, that he had. I had a professor in college that he was kind of an expert on Hitler, and this was a guy who had a big cutout of Hitler in his office. But he ended up
That would
saying
be
that the
concerning.
reason that Hitler grew his mustache like that was because he was slightly cross-eyed,
So it,
and he wanted to draw the attention away from his eyes to his mustache. Don't know if I fully fall for that, but could be. Didn't really matter. So,
same.
but or at least that style of you don't see lots of people going around with mustaches like that. Nobody wants to be associated with that in history. But he gives his Reichstag speech. He stands up there. He's talking. And remember, you've got all this whole audience of people. That, everybody is like saluting, and it's all real uniformed. And then you look behind and you see all the swastika flags, and you see him up there, and he's just talking, and he's spitting
Yeah.
the
Y'all,
entire
it's
time.
not the little spit either. It's like the big slobbery spit you can see going out.
Yeah, I'm
on
talking
the
like
video.
St.
It's
Bernard
gross.
kind of slobber. I mean, it's just everywhere. And I'm thinking those poor people on the front row.
Maybe
If
even
you were
umbrella.
a dignitary, you didn't want front row in his speeches. You wanted about like the 10th row. Just
Better
saying.
roll than threes.
Okay, so after he gives his Reichstag speech, the Nazis are now going to have to turn in all of their gold and silver, so they're taking all their riches away, things like that. One of the things that's interesting too is when you look at some of the pictures, because they've mentioned the gold and silver, when they show pictures of like the concentration camps, things like that, see, people a lot of times had gold teeth and things. They had fillings made of gold or silver or something like that. And you would see like this massive piles of teeth that they had done that to. Okay, the Nazi troops go ahead and move the rest of their forces into Czechoslovakia. So, they had moved into the Sudetenland, and now they move further on into Czechoslovakia, and they take it with 350,000 Jews. We have a new ship. It's called the St. Louis. This ship was crowded with 930 Jewish refugees. Comes to the United States, Cuba, Canada, other countries in North America, and they all turn it away. Nobody wants this particular ship. Shipment of refugees. First of all, what are we going to do with them? Okay, what are we going to do with them? When you look back, here's kind of a twofold thing. There are some people who believe that the U.S. government just didn't know everything that was going on. There are some people who believe that they did know, because there were some newspaper reports that went out in Time Magazine, not Time Magazine, but New York Times, that sort of stuff. But did they fully know the extent? And then do you get in trouble? Do you get involved? Because we weren't involved in the war at that time. If we took them, does that mean, that we're involved somehow? Well, anyway, the ship goes back. The ship goes back to Europe with its refugees.
Can they die?
You know what? I'm going to have you roll again, just to see if you
still alive.
that you still make it.
And you rolled them threes?
No! You rolled
Before we
the
leave. Okay. Next thing. September 1st, 1939. The Nazis invade Poland. Now, guys, this wasn't even a normal type of war. First of all, supposedly, Poland attacked Germany. Okay, Poland attacked Germany, some like a radio tower or something like that. But now, when you think of Poland, Poland's a fairly large country, in Europe. Takes up a large amount of land. It's agrarian. I mean, they grow potatoes, that sort of stuff, rutabagas. It's not like it's noted for a lot of big industry. And Poland has a military that's interesting. See, they have these men that they're on something called horses, and they have these fancy uniforms with flags, not flags, but
What's a
feathers.
horse?
Okay, so they have horses and lots of feathers. Horses and feathers. Hitler has a plan, it's called a lightning war, or blitzkrieg. And this blitzkrieg was a fast war, wanted everything to be fast. First thing you do is you fly in your Air Force, your Luftwaffe. and they're going to attack with fighters or possible bombers, and they're going to attack things like intersections where highways would intersect. That way you clog the traffic up. They can't move anywhere. And then you fly your fighters, down the streets, if you will, to shoot cars or vehicles or people. Kill as many as you can, but you're causing chaos. So he's doing this with his Air Force at first. And then they bring in the massive amount of tanks. So tanks are going across the line into Poland against those very fearful forces with feathers. Okay? And then they end up bringing the massive amount of troops. Remember that Germany is has one of the largest populations, during this time. And so lots of military forces, army, tanks, airplanes against horses with feathers. Okay. Needless to say, it was going to be really quick. As the battle with Poland, ensues. Of course, we'll see where France and the UK declare war on Germany because of their invasion of Poland. We don't get involved with that, even though most of the time we view the invasion of Poland as being the starting point for World War I. Okay, September 1st, 1939. Shortly after, the Germans are moving as fast as they can to Warsaw, the capital. The Soviet Union decides then that they're going to attack Poland from the other side. Okay, so Poland is, poor little Poland, they're getting an attack from both sides. And of course, Poland won't last long at all, a few weeks of battles, that sort of thing. But the Soviet Union and Germany end up dividing it. At this particular point, the Soviet Union is not, against Germany. They're allied with each other.
If Poland won, what if they got lucky and just won?
Yeah, all those massive mean horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
I found a German for you.
Not thank you. Huh?
Found a German for you.
Found a German? And where are you? Where are you from?
Poland.
Poland. You can go sit over there.
You're on horses with
Poland
feathers.
needs
Wait,
to
what?
die.
You're on horses with feathers.
Horses with feathers.
Then you're gonna die.
Let's see. Okay. So Britain and France declare war on Germany. Warsaw will surrender a couple of weeks later. They're starting to move Jews out of Vienna. They're moving them to labor camps. One of the things too is that there's a newspaper called Der Stürmer, and I'll mention some of their headlines from time to time. One of the things that they mention in there is that the Jewish people ought to be exterminated, root and branch. Then the plague of pests would have disappeared in Poland at one stroke. So that's kind of showing the mentality of the people, or at least the government, against the Jews. Okay, we ended 1939.
Yeah. Die.
You don't want to roll a 1 or a 2.
With my luck, I probably will.
Roll it. Take it.
Roll them threes.
Boom.
Yes, you die.
Come on, roll them
Take your
threes.
star.
All them three.
Locate over there on the wall.
Yay!
Wait, who shot her?
Guys, you're talking.
Let's
You're
just
not
make
supposed
it
to.
a concentration camp. Kills everyone. Roll in threes.
Forward.
I'm dead.
Wait, can we sit on one?
Fine.
Oh, you're good.
Sarah, roll a line.
That's pretty much oh, like your shorts.
Boom.
Come on, roll them threes.
Turn your star in. You put your name on it and everything that person. 6. Roll again. See if you escape. Roll again. 6.
Why is that your acronym?
I captured you back. And you are holding. Boom.
Sing it.
Oh, come on.
Zach.
Sit over there.
Do we have to roll? Do we have to roll?
Not yet. Where are you?
I need your star, please. If you passed away, I need your star.
I'm never gonna.
Did you fill out your star? Write it out.
Ah, the leg die.
What are you? No, that almost. No, move first. Then roll. What are you?
I'm
Roll the one. I should have died.
Sit there. Keep filling out the star. Okay.
my turn.
Okay, now, 1940, the Nazis choose the town of Auschwitz in Poland, near Krakow, to build a new concentration camp. And of course, we know that Auschwitz is one of those that, you know, the most infamous of all concentration camps. You know, not only would they take people and to shoot them and like bury them in massive graves, but they would have like gas chambers, and they would also have large crematoriums that would take in massive numbers of people. Okay. In Der Stürmer, that newspaper again, they have another headline. It says, "The time is near when a machine will go into motion, which is going to prepare a grave for the world's criminals, Judah, from which there will be no resurrection." April 9th, 1940, Nazis invade Denmark, 8,000 Jews, and Norway with 2,000 Jews. Now the interesting thing about this particular invasion is that Germany had just met with the Danish government. And the Danish government, you know, was asking them, hey, you know what, you seem to be, you know, moving throughout Europe. Do we have any problems? We seem to be getting along real well. Are we having some problems? Oh no, we would never attack you. And all along that's in the major plan. So they moved into Denmark with pretty much no opposition. And Denmark is important because the city of Copenhagen, for its port. See, Copenhagen is something that we know now in geography, we call it an entree port. You had the deep sea, you know, from the North Sea that's deep, you know, moves in there, you know, and on the Jutland Peninsula. And then on the other side, you have the Baltic Sea, and the Baltic Sea is a narrow sea. So if you're a big seagoing vessel, you would unload your goods and put them on smaller ships and then take it across the Baltic.
She's hungry.
I'm Peter.
Oh, I thought she was actually hungry, and I was like,
So if you'll just sit over here for right now,
Okay, I was like, I didn't know where you got hungry.
get your star out. Okay.
"Feed me with turkey."
Yeah, what's last is one of the classes
get
down like
You said we're hungry.
half the class raising their hand.
It is fun.
No, that's not what it is.
Yeah, no, not that. You know, when you have the Germans that are left raising their hand. No. Okay, so we've invaded Denmark and Norway. On May 10, Nazis invade France. Population of 350,000 Jews. Belgium, 65,000 Jews. Holland or the Netherlands with 140,000. And Luxembourg with 3,500. So are any of you that are left alive from Denmark, Norway, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, or Luxembourg?
Wow, that is.
And you're still alive? Did you relocate over here? Both of you?
All of us?
All of you that I just called. You're one of those, relocate over here.
I'm a mademoiselle.
When did you?
You will. Lauren, what are you?
Romania.
Died.
Don't walk there. Okay.
Rolling?
Not yet.
Rolling freeze.
Okay.
Got rolling freeze.
Now, are we still talking? Paris decides, because see, France has been invaded. Paris now contacts the German government and they're like, hey, you know what, we're going to be an open city. Please don't bomb us. You know, please don't, you know, destroy our city, this beautiful city. And you just come right on in. So Paris doesn't get bombed. It doesn't have major damage like you would expect, you know, some of the cities to have.
But it's so awesome. That's why it's still so awesome.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't there some like rebels that, or something similar to that, that cut off the elevator on the
Eiffel Tower.
Eiffel Tower? Yeah. so then a lot of quotes were saying like Hitler conquered France, but he did not conquer the Eiffel Tower. I remember something about that.
I don't know, that sounds right, it sounds believable. Okay. So they did that. Now, shortly after the occupation of Paris, the government that was the French government goes in exile. They leave, the leaders leave, and they go to Italy. Because the other part of France decides to form their own government and negotiate with Germany. It's called Vichy France. And Vichy France, again, they ally themselves with Germany, so they have an armistice, they stop their fighting, if you will, and kind of causes some problems. Because what happens with the possessions that you've got across the globe? What about the colonies that are in Africa or Southeast Asia, something like that? Whose are they? Are they the Free France that's in exile, or are they Vichy France? And some of those went Vichy France. I know that when I used to have students to do reports, not reports, but projects, where they'd build a boat or something like that, or a plane. But one of the options was to bring in a guest speaker, somebody who had been a World War II veteran. And this kid brought in a great-grandfather. And this guy had been, he had been working in the Philippines when the Philippines was attacked by the Japanese. He was sent to a concentration camp there, and a prison camp. And they ended up putting him to work. And they put him to work building bridges. And because he was an engineer. So they put him, building bridges. And he told the stories about the Japanese, how horrible the Japanese were. That the Japanese were just ruthless. But he also said that the Vichy French, who were in charge, because that was Vietnam, French Indochina, that they were trying to prove a point, and that they were even more, vicious toward the Americans that were there. So he couldn't stand the French. One of the plans that was proposed during this time period was something called the Madagascar Plan. And the Madagascar Plan, Samantha with her phone out, was a plan not to, move all these cute little animals and make cartoons, but to relocate all the Jews from Europe into Madagascar. Okay? First of all, you're relocating them way away and everything. The German government decided that it was just too costly, that it was just more effective to just get rid of them rather than relocate them. So they kind of mothballed that particular plan. In August of that year, Romania tries their own form of handling the Jewish population. And at this particular point, Romania wasn't even invaded. We will see that a couple of months later it will be invaded. Romania, with its 34,000 Jewish population, will be invaded in October. Just prior to that, we had the tripartite pact that starts, and that's the alliance with Germany, Italy, and Japan, where they will be allies with one another. So, anybody Romania? Did you relocate?
Yeah.
Still here.
Okay.
They're rolling breeze.
Now, in November, Hungary, Romania, and Slovakia become Nazi allies. So anybody Hungary? Hungary, would you relocate next to him?
Okay.
Anybody else alive that's from the country of Hungary?
Ukraine is under.
Okay.
I'm hungry.
Okay. Now we'll roll again.
I get it done.
Come on, kill Ukraine off. I get to die.
Well, I mean, if you just commit suicide, I guess, over here, we just roll a one.
Twice the guys.
I hope you're on the six.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Smithy.
Come on, you gotta roll the
Mr.
breeze.
Smithy.
I'm talking.
I've got a question.
I'll answer you in a little bit.
Yay, she died.
Boom.
Yeah.
I guess Rick dies is all one.
See if you can roll another six.
Ooh, come on.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Watch him survive.
Sorry, Carrie.
Kill me. I deserve it this year.
Turn your story in.
No! I rolled the threes. Did you die?
Die.
What? You get to die and I don't?
Roll another 60 if you escape. Yes! She escaped.
Okay, bring me your star.
So you get to relocate and you live.
Oh, you should have died. It's better.
Oh, not right there. Move over there. Okay.
Watch me have the longest
Up there. And I get your star, and it goes on the survive page. Survivor! Yay!
Okay.
Winner chicken dinner.
I didn't roll the threes.
Guys, we still have some to go, so hush. Now, this drummer comes out with another article, and it says, I ask nothing of the Jews except that they should disappear.
Dang.
Okay?
No
And
chill.
now judgment has begun, and it will reach its conclusion only when knowledge of the Jews have been erased from the earth. Nazis occupy Bulgaria. A Jewish population of 50,000. Of course, they're using Jews in forced labor camps now. A lot of the Einsatzgruppen or SS murder squads are being sent throughout. What are you doing? Up against the wall, on the way to the wall. So you got these death squads that are moving up, and sometimes they would send them into a community, and they would just line up people and shoot them and put them in ditches or something like that. Sometimes they would. What you doing? Taking notes. Do you need notes? Why don't you show me your notes? So they are sending these, like sometimes it could be a truck. The truck would go in and it would have Zyklon B gas in it, and they would load people in it, and then as soon as they liquidated that group in the truck, they'd unload the truck and load more people in. Sometimes they even had it to where just the exhaust system with carbon monoxide poisoning, the exhaust system would go in the back of the truck, and it would kill them that way. Just took too long sometimes to do that. So the lining people up and shooting them was done a lot. And when you start looking at some of the locations, and they'll talk about like 25,000 people, and it will be just one date. It's not a group of days. One day they would go into like Riga, Latvia, the capital of Latvia, and liquidate 37,000 people, something like that. That's a lot of people to kill off in a day. Okay? Just unbelievable.
Half the city is half the city is
April 6, 1941, Nazis invade Yugoslavia. Jewish population of 75,000, and Greece population 77,000. On June 22nd, 1941, Nazis invade Russia. Jewish population of 3 million. Now, it's not including, but it does include the Ukraine, Belarus, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. Any of those countries, Moldova, it's including all of those, because that was part of, in the notes it's got Russia, it should have said Soviet Union. But those were states or republics of the Soviet Union. Okay, so, what were you? Ukraine?
Yep.
Did you relocate over here? What are you? Italy? Anybody else alive over there?
Over here.
What are you?
Yugoslavia.
Over here.
Better roll than threes.
Nope, over there.
Thank you for your assistance.
Thank you.
Hope
Just
you get killed.
Flow's easier.
Not you. Foreigners.
It mentions in here, like in Odessa, 35,000 Jews were shot in just the month of October. 35,000. pretty massive. 23,000 Jews killed in over 2 days in the Ukraine.
Could not be though.
December 7th, 1941, Japan attacks Pearl Harbor, and that brings the United States and Great Britain into a war also with Japan.
Rollins needs you.
Did you pick up from there?
Exactly, once he forgets that all the emails, all the paperwork, and all of that stuff comes to me, and I have to do it just 1 day a week. And I have no idea where it's at. What was he doing?
December 7th, 1941.
December 8th, 1941. So, in occupied Poland near Lodz, the extermination camps becomes operational. So, a huge extermination camp. So Jews are taken there and placed in mobile gas vans. Never good. All right, December 11th, 1941. Hitler declares war on the United States. The United States President Roosevelt asked Congress for a declaration of war on Germany, saying never before has there been a greater challenge to life, liberty, and civilization. The United States enters the war in Europe and will concentrate 90% of its military resources there to defeat Hitler. December 12th. Let's see. The ship Stroma leaves Romania for Palestine carrying 769 Jews, but is denied permission by the British authorities. So it has to sail back to the Black Sea. They sink it as an enemy target. The Russians do. All right, December 16th, 1941. Hans Frank, he asked Poland, he says, "Gentlemen, I must ask you to rid yourselves of all feelings of pity. We must annihilate the Jews wherever we find them and whenever it is possible in order to maintain the structure of the Reich as a whole." That's pretty darn harsh. That is really an harsh.
Sounds like
Yikes.
Smithy to his children.
I don't.
Nice.
Or you when you're angry.
Yeah, I think so.
It's time to go.
All right.
Can we roll one more
We're
time?
rolling one more time.
Better roll than I'm gonna die.
Okay.
Not rolling until I die.
Rolling.
It was
Can't tell. Can't tell. 4. That's a lot still. I'll go off. You gotta
I just
put
realized that.
3.
Someone died.
Wait a minute.
Died. If you didn't finish it at once.
5.
I mean,
I'm alive.
I'm
alive.
He's alive.
1. Die.
Chip in.
Gary's alive now, so we're all still alive.
3.
died.
1. You died. Sorry.
No!
Alright,
You go talk. How does it feel?
Did you die, Torin?
Yep.
Hey, roll in threes.
I was tired of like
Well, it's not hurting you. Okay.
Hey!
Yep, okay.
Dude, I crawled into English Russian.
I don't care.
All on videotape. You do know that, right?